Honey, I just got a call from the hospital. The nurse said Dad passed away a few minutes ago.
Oh my goodness. How did he pass away so suddenly?
He was doing okay last night when I visited him at the hospital. I thought he was out of the woods for the moment. His doctor said there seemed to be a couple more days, but things took a sudden downturn. His condition deteriorated so fast, and there was nothing the doctors could do for him. I wanted to be there for his last moments, but here I am being an undutiful daughter again. I regret not visiting and calling my sick dad more often. I used raising a child and supporting my husband as an excuse, but looking back now, I realized that I was too selfish. I thought I was doing my best, but now I feel like I fell short. On the day he was first diagnosed with colon cancer, I felt like my world was falling apart. He was my rock and only family after my mom's passing early in my childhood. He was everything I had, and the thought of losing him killed me. I remember feeling completely lost and helpless, like I didn't know what to do or how to help him. Over the years, I somehow got tired of watching him go through chemotherapy, hospitalization, and discharges, and I wasn't there when he might need me. I blame myself for not being there for him during those difficult times. He was there by himself all alone. I should have visited him more often and called him more frequently to check in and see how he was doing. I can't even imagine how he must have felt being sick all alone. It's such a relief to know that he'd be happy in a place without pain, but my heart can't accept the reality that I can't see him anymore. I wish I could have been there for him more, and that I could have eased his suffering in some way, because just like he was all I had, I was all he had. I hope that he knew how much I loved him and that he forgives me for not being there for him as much as I should have been. I miss him already, but I hope that he's at peace now.
Don't blame yourself. Do you hear me? It wasn't your fault. You weren't able to be there for Jerry's last moments because I was away from home on a business trip. You couldn't help it. Sarah has developmental disabilities and you were already overwhelmed by taking care of her. You had to be there for her because you're her mom. If you need to blame someone, blame me. I could have been there for Sarah, so you could have been there for Jerry if I wasn't on a business trip. I'm sure he understood your situation. He's your father and he loved you more than anything in the world.
Do you think so? Would he understand?
Of course he would, so don't beat yourself up too much and blame yourself. Just wait for me, I'll be right there. You're the only child, so I'll be there on your behalf for the funeral to greet the guests.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
By the way, didn't he have a lot of assets? Didn't you hear anything about it?
I don't know yet.
How much do you think it would be?
He invested in stocks and had a townhouse as well. He also had savings and CDs, so I assume it would be worth about $1 million total. But I'll be able to find out the details when I speak to the lawyer.
What a jackpot! He left us such a great gift.
What's wrong with you? Are my dad's assets really that important? What is this uncomfortable feeling that seems like you're more interested in his assets than in the sadness of his passing?
Oh, that's impossible. You know well that I've always thought of your father as my own father. It's just that losing such a great father like him is more heartbreaking and painful for me than for anyone else. So don't misunderstand me and make me feel sad. I remember when I first met him. He greeted me with a big smile and a hug that made my heart warm. I was so nervous about meeting your father for the first time, but his smile comforted me so much. Although I didn't express my affection towards him very much, I loved him as my own father. I miss him as much as you do.
Thank you for saying that. It comforts my heart.
A sure thing, Brenda. I'll be there for you and stand next to you strongly. I'll protect you, so don't worry about anything, okay?
Glad to hear that. Drive safely and see you soon. Hello. I'm an ordinary housewife who's been married for 15 years and has a 9-year-old daughter with developmental disabilities. My husband and I met at our first job after college and got married after dating for about a year. We almost gave up on having a child, but a precious life came to us when we least expected it, and we were overjoyed. This was Sarah. However, she was born with developmental disabilities. My husband can be somewhat selfish and temperamental, and we had many arguments in the early days of our marriage. However, I tried to understand him because I thought that raising a child with developmental disabilities will also be emotionally challenging for him. I took care of our daughter's treatment entirely by myself, by seeing the doctor and taking her to the therapist twice a week, and I tried not to burden him unless it was absolutely necessary. Looking back now, it was foolish, but I felt like I was responsible for giving birth to a child with developmental disabilities, even though I knew it wasn't my fault. When my father passed away, my husband comforted me and said he would willingly take care of me. I was touched by his words, without knowing what was waiting ahead of me. I couldn't have imagined what kind of twists and turns were waiting for me ahead. Where are you, David? Where did you go in the middle of the funeral? Weren't you welcoming the guests?
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Something urgent came up, so I stepped out for a second. Sorry for not giving you a heads up.
What kind of urgent matter?
It's nothing important. You don't need to worry about it. I'll be back before you know it, so please welcome the guests instead of me while I'm out here. It won't take long.
Who is that woman you're with?
What? What woman? Is that a joke? It is not funny, honey. That joke is not funny at all when we're in the middle of your father's funeral.
I'm talking about that woman you couldn't stop kissing in the car. Who was that slut doing inappropriate stuff with you in my car?
I said it's not funny. I think you've watched too many soap operas. Are you making jokes to try force a smile because the sadness of losing your father is too much? But I am not finding it funny. Such jokes shouldn't be made even for the sake of making jokes.
I said stop playing around and tell me straight what's going on. Don't get me mad. You don't want me to get mad right now.
I mean, what kind of woman are you talking about? I understand that you're going through a hard time because of Jerry, but don't you think it's unfair for me if you make an irrational guy in a situation like this?
How can you be so mischievous and shameless? How dare you bring a woman to my father's funeral and engage in such filthy behavior? Do you think I'm a joke?
What filthy behavior are you talking about? Do you have any evidence? Do you have any evidence showing I engaged in such inappropriate behavior with another woman? I'm not going to stand it anymore if you keep accusing me of what I didn't do when you don't even have the evidence. Do you understand? I won't let it happen even if it's you. You can't falsely accuse me or insult me out of nowhere.
I have a photo in my hand right now of you doing dirty things with that woman wearing vulgar makeup and a cheap dress. I have the evidence in my hand of what you're denying.
Oh, how could you possibly have a photo when you must be hectic taking care of the guests? How in the world were you able to follow me to the parking lot and saw me? That doesn't make any sense.
That's right. I was busy taking care of the guests. But do you know who wasn't? Sarah. Didn't you realize she followed you? She said she saw her dad heading out, so hurriedly she followed you. She followed you all the way to the parking lot, calling out Dad on her way, but you weren't able to hear her, probably because you were too excited to see your mistress. She told me with a frightened face that her daddy enthusiastically kissed a stranger in the car.
Did Sarah really say that?
She said she had no idea what her daddy was doing exactly, but she knew that it was a bad thing to do. She thought she needed to take the picture so she could show it to me. Are you sure you're a dad when you showed such disgusting behavior to your daughter?
Are you saying it was possible for Sarah to do all of that when she has developmental disabilities? I thought she was just a fool with mental problems, so it's pretty unexpected. Are you sure she has developmental disabilities? Did you play me by coming up with excuses for her being sick to stay home because you didn't want to work?
What the hell is the matter with you? Do you even know what you're saying?
Well, that seems to be the truth. How can someone with developmental disabilities can take a photo? Isn't that difficult for even a normal kid without disabilities?
Do you know how much effort I've put in for Sarah? I even quit my job to focus on her to see the doctors and go to therapy at least twice a week. Did you even know that there are different levels of disability within developmental disorders? Sarah is at the level where she's capable of living a mostly normal life. She can distinguish what's right and wrong, and that's why she was able to think to leave evidence by taking a photo. And yet you didn't even care enough about your own daughter to realize that. Do you still think you have the right to call yourself a father?
What responsibility are you talking about? It's your responsibility because you're the one who gave birth to her. You have no right to complain about it. So why did you give birth to a defective baby like her to begin with? You should have given birth to a normal child like everyone else. Then you could go on and have a job and you didn't have to put in any kind of effort. Taking care of your sick child is your job as a mother. Why are you trying to pass the blame onto me? You're just trying to blame me for something you caused. Stop blaming others and take responsibility for your own actions.
I never blamed others. Sarah has been my everything from the moment she was born. She is a gift from God, whether she's a child with developmental disabilities or not. She is the best gift I've ever gotten. I'm thankful for her every day. So, stop talking about her or the responsibilities and change the subject. Since when was it? Since when were you cheating on me behind my back? Didn't you have the decency to wait at least until the funeral was over? Why did you have to bring her to my father's funeral?
Why do you want to know? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to divorce me or something? Now your father has passed away. Are you sure you're ready to be an orphan after getting a divorce? Are you trying to make Sarah grow up without a father like you who struggled to grow up without a mother?
A dad like you who's so despicable and didn't even bother to stop his disgusting behavior with another woman in front of his daughter doesn't have to exist. I'm saying a dad who's not ashamed of showing such behavior in front of his daughter doesn't have to exist. Actually, she'll be better off without someone like you.
What did you say?
She told me everything. She happened to have eye contact with you, but you pretended not to see her and then continued to kiss that bitch in front of her. Why did you have to do that? Pretending not to see her and knowing that she already saw everything. Didn't you consider the pain and confusion she would feel? Are you still lying about it and pretending it didn't happen when she witnessed everything?
Do you trust a single word spoken by a kid with developmental disabilities? Are you that stupid? Now I can tell that her disabilities came from you. I never knew you were that stupid. Then it's a marriage fraud because you never told me you had mental disabilities.
I'm so shocked that I can't even speak. After all this, you're now accusing me of being retarded and committing marriage fraud? Sarah may have a developmental disability, but she doesn't make things up out of nowhere. How dare you give my precious 9-year-old daughter a painful wound that she'll never forget? I will never forgive you for this.
Do you still not realize that it's all your fault? You only cared about Sarah and your father's illness, so I had no choice but to seek comfort from another woman because I was so lonely. It's not wrong for me to seek the attention, comfort, and love that you couldn't give me from another woman, is it? It's like going to an orthopedic doctor when my shoulder, back, or legs hurt. I just happened to meet a woman who filled the void in my heart and my need for love. Don't you even understand such a thing as my wife? You should have paid more attention to me. Everything happened because you were negligent about me. I told you to look at yourself before blaming others.
Are you blaming me for your infidelity? Who's the one that just ate and watched TV and played games and refused to even have a conversation with me? What was that again? You felt empty and wanted love? Do you think I didn't feel the same way? I also wanted comfort and love just like you did. But when I tried to fill that void for you, did you ever try to accept it? Who was the one that wouldn't even look at me or say a word when you came home and just ate the food I prepared for you and watched TV and played games? Are you trying to deny your own actions and blame it all on me?
You were gonna fill me up? Oh, don't make me laugh. I have my own fantasies about women. Even if I'm starving, I don't have so much of an appetite that will make me eat anything in my sight. I'm sorry that I'm not physically attracted to a shrunken, skinny body without curves on withered skin. You have a face covered in wrinkles, freckles, and fatigue, and you wear loose and shabby clothes all the time. I'm sorry that I'm not physically attracted to your pitiful, plain, and lowly woman like you.
Hold on. What on earth are you babbling about so excitedly? Do you honestly think that your lack of involvement in parenting and household chores has nothing to do with my weight loss? If you had been more proactive in helping out around the house, maybe I wouldn't have had to become the shrunken, skinny body without any curves. It's not like I enjoy looking like a walking skeleton, you know? And don't even get me started on the fact that I'm basically running this entire household on my own. Taking care of a sick child is hard enough as it is, but when you add in all the other responsibilities like taking care of your parents, cooking, cleaning, and everything else, it's no wonder I haven't been able to gain any weight. Yet here you are acting like you have no idea what's going on. Oh, and let's not forget about the fact that we're both getting older. Did you really think that you could just pop a beauty pill and magically maintain the same appearance you had 15 years ago? Newsflash, that's not how it works. Look in the mirror and know your place. Do you think all the nonsense you just said justifies your infidelity? Did you actually believe everything you said makes sense?
Infidelity? If anything, staying married to you is infidelity to her. Don't you dare insult my love with such vulgar words just because you find it hard to listen to. Falling in love is not a crime, especially when life feels suffocating and bleak. It's the first time in a long while that I felt butterflies in my stomach. She fills my emptiness and gives me a love that no one else in this world can. Don't all men experience this kind of love at least once in their lifetime? I mean, don't we all need to experience this kind of love? Once my heart's battery is fully charged with love, I was gonna stop. So why couldn't you wait patiently instead of foolishly creating this mess? Is there anything good that comes out of bickering with each other? Haven't you heard the saying, 3 years of deafness, 3 years of blindness for married couples who spend their entire lives together? If we're gonna be together for the rest of our lives, wouldn't it be wiser for you to embrace your husband with your broad mind, pretend to be deaf or blind to certain things, and move on with a forgiving heart? You ran towards me like this, looking for a fight, but what good does it do? Won't you be the only one who becomes more miserable in the end?
Are you talking about a century ago? Why should I endure and pretend not to see such a dirty sight when I'm perfectly capable of everything? Do you even bother yourself to take care of Sarah or do household chores? You're not needed anyway, or rather, it will be better if you were not here. Sarah and I would be better off without you. Do you have any idea how hard it is for me to raise someone else's grown-up son, let alone my own sick baby? I don't understand why you're so confidently talking to me when all you know how to do is eat, sleep, and use the bathroom when you're in your 40s. Take this opportunity to divorce me and meet as many women as you want to satisfy your desires. Go back to your mother and stay with her, who still quarrels with me about losing her son to me. It's for your own good, so hurry up and find your way out of here.
That sounds like a plan. We should go through the property division sooner than later to make that happen, shouldn't we? Hand me half of what your father left. It'll be about $500,000, right? I'm gonna divorce you as fast as today, as long as you give me that money.
You've got to be kidding me. You think even a dime of that is going to you? Why would a complete stranger like you covet my family's property? Your greed is so excessive that it's disgusting. Can you please be more appropriate?
Didn't Jerry always say that a son-in-law is also a son? He said he considered me as his own son. I'm entitled to the property because I'm his son. He thanked me 1,000,000 times for being responsible for his daughter and granddaughter, so this is how he should repay me. You didn't forget how grateful he was to me, did you?
I don't think so. He didn't like his son-in-law because he knew how you were to me and Sarah. So he was just trying to flatter you, hoping his words would make you a decent human being. You're incredibly stupid for not even understanding the meaning behind his words. By the way, I met with the lawyer this morning. He informed me that my dad wrote a will a long time ago stating all of his assets are to be passed down only to me. How much of a poor and insufficient son-in-law must you have been for him to have drawn such a clear line and guarded me and his assets against you so perfectly? I'm crying again at my dad's deep love for his unworthy daughter. I may have been an insufficient daughter, but my father was a wonderful father until the very end of his life.
Damn it! He really did hit the nail on the head like a sly fox. All this time, Jerry had been sweet-talking me, calling my name with a smile and complimenting me. But behind my back, he was up to no good, huh? As they say, you can know the path of a snake in the grass, but you can't know what's in a person's heart. It was amazingly correct. I had no idea he would stab me in the back. How dirty and despicable.
Hey, I'm the one who's supposed to say that to your ugly face. Don't you dare speak ill of him with your treacherous, despicable, and contemptible mouth. You haven't bothered to pay him a visit even once during his long time of illness, have you? Who the hell do you think you are talking about getting stabbed in the back? My father should be the one who wasn't able to close his eyes peacefully because he was worried about his daughter and granddaughter. It was such a relief that he was able to see the true side of you and wrote a will a long time ago. If he'd not done that, he wouldn't have been able to close his eyes even in the afterlife because he felt so unfair.
Okay then, we don't get a divorce then. We're still legally married if we don't get a divorce, which means I have rights to your father's assets along with you. I'll stop cheating and seeing other women and be faithful to you and Sarah. That's what you want, right? Happy now? Then your father will peacefully go to heaven or whatever without worrying about anything. Isn't that the least good you can do for him?
Why are you such a parasite? I know you love money so much, but please preserve dignity like any human should do. I'm saying I want to get rid of you. Don't you understand English? How much simpler do I have to explain it to an adult in his 40s? I'm saying I want to break up with you, who doesn't know how to help or doesn't have the willingness to help with household chores or childcare. I'm saying I don't want to live with you anymore, who never loved his own daughter, but showed her things that shouldn't be shown. I'm saying I don't even want to talk to you anymore, you who only knows how to eat, sleep, drink, and cheat. But I don't know why you don't know when to step away. How much longer should I go on before you understand? How much more miserable do you have to become before you give up?
Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't rely solely on Jerry's assets like a fool. Do you need to experience how miserable your life will be as a widow raising a developmentally disabled daughter for the rest of your life? Do you think you can live with just $1 million until the day you die? You might end up being scammed and lose everything. Do you think someone who has been a mom and a housewife for the past 10 years can manage that money well? $1 million is not as much money as you think. Do you understand?
I have a lot more than you do, so keep your lectures to yourself, okay? Stop with the nonsense and go home and pack your stuff right frickin' now. I'm gonna sell the house that my dad bought for me, and I'm gonna move into his place with Sarah. You should run to your mom's arms since you're not welcome with me or Sarah anymore. Ask your mom to hold you warmly and tightly as you feel empty and hungry for love, okay? The car you have been having filthy stuff with your mistress is what my dad bought me. So I want you to drag her out of my car and hand the keys to me immediately. I don't care who she is and how she ended up with you. Just get her out of my car. For the inside of my car that you two damaged, I'll get the estimates and file for compensation for damages tomorrow. I'll also file for alimony for the dirty adultery you committed, so be prepared for it.
Oh no. Oh, why did things turn out like this, honey? Maybe I was crazy. I must have done everything wrong, and I'll make sure something like this never happens again. I'll go back to the funeral right now and greet the guests properly and send Jerry off to heaven with sincerity. Please forgive me. I'm begging on my knees for you to forgive me.
Don't even think about coming back to the funeral. I'll have my cousins beat the crap out of you. After what happened, I got what I wanted, a divorce from my husband and custody of my daughter. My ex-husband willingly gave up the custody of Sarah, saying he never needed or wanted such a girl with developmental disabilities in the first place. Seeing his shameless face made me relieved that I could divorce him before it was too late. Considering the fact that my daughter has more sensitivity and fears than normal children, she must have been emotionally shocked and hurt by what she witnessed. Therefore, we agreed that there would be no visitation between Sarah and her dad for a while. It's bittersweet that it was easy for us to agree on no visitation between Sarah and my ex-husband, because he didn't want to see her anyway. I am receiving child support regularly, though. On the other hand, I'm still doing my best for my daughter's treatment. I started working part-time as a cashier at a grocery store because I got bored staying at home while she was at school. For the happiness of my daughter and myself, I'm working with a smile today too. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more videos.